Hey everybody, Rob here, just letting you know that today's show is brought to you by Audible. Please visit audiblepodcast.com/RHAP for your free audiobook download and enjoy the show. Coming to you live from my apartment. It's Rob Has a Podcast, and now here's the guy who's never, ever been more afraid of being voted out of his own podcast, Rob Cesternino. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very highly anticipated Rob Has a Boston Robcast. Yes, that's right. On this very program, we are going to be speaking with the one and only Boston Rob Mariano of Survivor Marquesas, of Survivor All-Stars, of Survivor Heroes versus Villains, of Survivor, what was the other one? Redemption Island, even. So we have a lot to cover with today's guest. I could not be more excited. I think you guys can probably hear it in my voice. Really pumped up and excited to go for this show, and little butterflies. Got to be honest, this is a very big podcast. Don't want to blow it like Survivor All Stars. It's a big opportunity. Got to make sure I got to stay focused and get everything going. So a lot to get to. This week we had Survivor episode number 5 of Survivor Philippines, where we had a double elimination this week, although it was not a regularly scheduled double elimination. Of course, we had Dana Lambert, who was a victim of not crybabyitis, a victim of severe dehydration, and she goes out of the game. And then, of course, we had Miss Sarah Dawson, who she goes out as well after getting under Jeff Kent's skin just a bit. I had a great conversation with them earlier today, and if you want to check that out, go to robhasawebsite.com and check out my interview with Double D, Dawson, and Dana, so you could check that out. And of course, last night I did my Survivor Know-It-All show with my Survivor Know-It-All partner in crime, Stephen Fishback, and we checked in with him and went over a recap of everything that happened on the episode. And so you can check that out every Wednesday. Join us live, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. And then coming up this weekend, we're going to have a very special show for my birthday on Saturday. I'll have more details about that at the end of the show. But I want to get to one thing before we jump in and get to Boston Rob. We are doubly excited for this podcast because we have a new sponsor that I want to talk about here for a moment, and that is Audible. Now, I know we've talked about audiobooks a lot before on the past, and people know how much I really love audiobooks. I love podcasts. I love anything where I could be doing something and listening to something else at the same time. And Audible is the best place to go online to buy audiobooks. They've got over 100,000 titles to choose from, every genre. Audible has everything, and they have a very special offer for the listeners of Rob Has a Podcast. If you go to audiblepodcast.com/RHAP, they will give you a free audiobook download. Yes, that is amazing. I love audiobooks, and it is great to get a free one. So when you're not listening to Rob Has a Podcast, or you want something that's actually going to make you smarter, I listen to a lot of, you can call them self-help books. I already call them nonfiction. I think if you were going to go on to Survivor, here's I'll give you guys 2 good recommendations that you can get on Audible for if you're a hero or a villain, okay? If you want to be a good guy on Survivor, this is a book that will help you. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That is a very good book, and again, one I read after I went on Survivor, unfortunately. And if you want to play Survivor like a villain, or if you want to advance yourself in real life like a villain, check out the book 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. That is another good one, which also I read after I got off of Survivor. So check that out if you want to get a free audiobook download when you sign up for Audible. Go visit audiblepodcast.com/RHAP. All right, everybody, let's get right into it. I don't think that we've ever had a more anticipated podcast guest in the 3-year history of Rob Has a Podcast, and super excited to do this. We've been waiting all week for it, and here we go. Please welcome the 4-time Survivor superstar, the winner of Survivor Redemption Island, Boston Rob Mariano. Hey, Rob, very excited to be here on your podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, Boston Rob, very excited to have you here. How are you doing? Oh, everybody's doing good. Really excited. I don't do a lot of podcasts, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm supposed to let this go on for Cesternino.
Here it is. It's the real Boston Rob. How are you?
Is that the impression that everybody's talking about?
What, everybody's talking? I'm happy if everybody's talking about anything I'm doing.
Well, it's quite an introduction, and I appreciate it. But remember, nobody likes an ass kisser.
We call it sucking kneecaps. All right. We won't do too much of that. But yeah, really excited to talk to you. You know, people have been asking for you since we started doing the podcast. We thought we were going to have you at the end of Redemption Island. You snuck off, got on a plane like Bond at the end of the season, and then we missed getting you there.
I left the next day.
Literally, yeah, you've been
that next day.
Very elusive, so finally great to track you down. A lot of people said this would never happen, and you know, I may have said the same thing a few times that I never thought it would actually happen, but great to have you here.
Well, you called me a few months ago at the beginning of the summer, and I had just had my third baby girl, and I told you the timing just wasn't right. It was kind of busy, but I told you I'd do it when it was right. And then you called me a couple of days ago, and I said the Sox aren't in the postseason, so I got no baseball to watch. So let's do it, right?
Now, do you want to touch on, and and congratulations on the birth of baby number 3. Look at you. You go from, ultimate survivor to now you're family man, taking kids to school. This is the real deal survival. Let me tell you, 3 kids. The oldest one is 3 years old, so 3, 1.5, and 4 or 5 months now. So it's busy over here, but I love it, man. And how's Amber doing?
Amber's doing great. She's an awesome mother. She really is, and a great wife. And I could not have gotten luckier with her. So she's doing good. She said to say hello. She's feeding the little one inside right now, but she wanted me to give you her best.
Okay. And Boston Rob, I know you must be very broken up tonight to see the Yankees go down 4 games in a row. You must be devastated.
Up over here. Yeah, I mean, look at the Sox season was pretty pathetic, so I don't really want to talk about that. But yeah, there were no tears shed at my house seeing them get swept.
All right, well, let's get into some of this Survivor from this season a little bit, and then we'll talk about I got so many questions here for you from the listeners of this podcast on our Facebook page, but let's talk about this season a little bit. Now, you know a thing or two about 3 tribes here. Do you like that? I mean, you've played Survivor. You played it with tribes of 8, tribes of 10, 3 tribes. Do you like that as a format, 3 tribes?
It's different. I mean, it's just a different mentality. You have to be prepared differently to play with 3 tribes versus 2 tribes versus 16 people in the game versus 18 versus 20. I've done all these different formats, and each one, in my opinion, requires a different outlook and a different strategy. 3 tribes is unique because they do six people a tribe, same as Survivor All-Stars. 6 people on a tribe, 3 tribes. But what was different was on All-Stars last night. We talked about last night, right? It's already
go for it.
Yeah. So last night when they dissolved the 3rd tribe, they did it in a way where, because it was so lopsided, they just sent 1 to one tribe and 1 to the other. Yeah. Which is different than what happened in All-Stars. It was more of a balanced, even though the Saboga tribe was, they were losing, they had lost 2 members versus each of the other tribes. I think it lost 1 at that point.
Yeah.
So they divided it. I'm trying to remember how.
I think that what they did, they had a challenge.
2 and 2, that's right. Yeah, and it was a you pick 'em. So that's the way it was. So it was the same. but because the dynamic was different, because there were two people coming rather than one, I think that the people that from that tribe, Malcolm and
Denise.
what's the chick's name? Janine?
Denise.
Denise. They're going to have a strong bond. I mean, almost an unbreakable bond. I can't believe they didn't vote her out last night. That was a huge mistake on their part. They should have voted her out. Despite all the dissension that you have within your own tribe, you can manage that. But by keeping her around, it's dangerous. I mean, if the merge is going to come sooner or later, and how many people are left in the game now, Rob?
There's 12 left now.
Okay, so it's going to happen at 11 or 10 or 9, usually, historically anyway. And if Malcolm and Denise get back together, it's such a dangerous situation because it's like one vote. I mean, they're going to vote the same way. You're never going to break them up. And, you know, if you recognize that and you're in the minority alliance and you can pick up both of them when the time comes for that, then you're getting 2 for the price of 1. But to get back to the original question, like, do I prefer 3 or, I mean, it just depends. It depends.
Well, let's stay on this. This is much more interesting because, you know, you're saying that the right move is to get rid of Denise if you get her on your tribe or get rid of Malcolm. But when you were in this same exact situation in the All-Stars, you kept Jenna Lewis and you kept Rupert around.
But it wasn't the same situation. I kept them around because you have to remember, we had lost a couple. You're not still mad about that, are you, by the way?
Well, it's been like 9 years, so I feel better.
Okay, well, just so we can clear the air here.
Clear it.
Like, the reason why we did get rid of you was because you were a huge threat.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
The way I want to play the game, I always want to play with people that, you know, I have the ability to control, and clearly, you know, I wasn't going to be able to control you. So we had to get rid of you. No, it was out of respect, buddy, that we had to get rid of you.
Well, that very, very much appreciated. Yeah, it did take a long time. Like, what? Sue Hawk is better than me? But I do appreciate that.
And that's another thing that happened last night that was kind of similar to what happened in All Stars. Sue Hawk, remember, she left the game because of what happened with Richard there. And I mean, man, what a blow that is. Because you got your numbers. Just think about it. If those 4 girls had gotten together, if they got together, then the whole dynamic of that tribe changes. You know, the guys are now in the minority. If the 3 girls could, in fact, pick up Denise, you know, and the girl that got sick and voted out,
Dana,
was able to stay. Yeah, Dana was able to stay in the game. I mean, and there it is. It's just, if you say that luck doesn't play a huge part in this game, it's a perfect example.
So, in the All-Stars, so you weren't worried, though, that Jenna Lewis and Rupert were going to team back up with, who was there, Ethan and, I guess, Jerry from the other side at a merge?
We had to wait and see. I mean, when we got to the merge, they weren't there. Jerry and Ethan were gone.
Yeah.
You know, so they had nowhere else to go. And if you remember, I had the alliance that season. I'm trying to remember it now. It was so long ago. Seriously, it was me, Amber, and Big Tom. Were a 3-person alliance. Alicia and Sue were there. I promoted Tribe Unity. You were the first one to go because we just couldn't control you. But then, you know, so we had a 5-person alliance within the 5 of us, right? And Alicia and Sue thought that, you know, Rupert and Jenna were going next. That was it, you know. So there was a 5-person alliance. The 3-person alliance was me, Big Tom, and Amber. And then we had a secret 4-person alliance, me and Jenna and Amber and Rupert. And nobody knew about that except for the 4 of us. Yeah. You know, so now all my bases are covered. So I have the 3-person alliance, the 4-person alliance, and the 5-person alliance. It gives me flexibility to adapt to whatever situation the game is going to throw at us. So I never let anybody know. Like, as far as Alicia and Big Tom even, and Sue Hawk were concerned, Rupert and Jenna were going next. And we started winning challenges. I don't remember exactly which one happened when, but we started winning challenges. And then the thing happened with Sue, which was bad luck, but in hindsight, it probably worked to our advantage, because now I still have Alicia she's the only one that I have to worry about. She thinks it's Rupert or Jenna. And then once she's gone, it was because Alicia really, really grated on Big Tom. They didn't get along at all. So it was easy to convince Big Tom to get rid of Alicia before Rupert and Jenna.
Yeah.
Right? Because Big Tom firmly believed that he, Amber, and I were the top three.
Mm-hmm.
So to get rid of Alicia really didn't change the game plan for him because he's still in the majority alliance, so he thinks. And he could have been, we could have gone either way. That went all the way down to the final five,
right?
At that point where we had to make a decision, and ultimately decided to get rid of Tom versus Rupert or Jenna. And I know the odds were against me there, but again, I'm kind of playing a situation that if Tom goes to the end, if he does pull out the miracle win and goes to the end, I mean, nobody's going to beat him. He's going to win hands down. He had the jury with all his friends,
Well, I know we're way off Survivor Philippines, but let's keep going with this. So I really feel like that one of your best moves that you did was in that All-Stars at that Final Five, where you get Rupert and Big Tom to fight with each other, when the right strategic move would be for Big Tom to get with Jenna and Rupert and break up you and Amber, because you're the pair that's not going to vote against each other. And that was really, I think that's, if we're going to make the list of the best Boston Rob moves, I think that's right there at the top, I think.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, it would seem simple for them to talk to each other, but you got to remember, from their point of view, they firmly believed they were going to the end with me. Mm-hmm. Each of them did. So they didn't see it that way, And the way I played that season was so aggressive that they both felt that if they were to go to the end with me, that they'd win. Yeah. So they're not going to jeopardize that. You see what I'm saying? They're thinking that whatever, let him do whatever he wants. When the time comes, they're going to take me and I'm going to win against them. So, yeah.
Well, let me ask you, going into that All-Stars, now you play a different way than you really come out. You really come out like guns blazing on Marquesas. Take no prisoners, and you play a different game, I think, on the All-Stars. Somebody said this to me recently. Were you influenced by Brian Heidick and the game that he played on Thailand in between Marquesas and All-Stars?
No.
Because you guys have a similar sort of philosophy in sort of like the end game of that he has these deals with everybody at the end of the game. But
I kind of look at in Marquesas, going back, you got to remember, you got to put each of the seasons I played into kind of context of where I was at that time in my life. You and I talked about this the other day, and we talked on the phone a little bit. Yeah. And that is that when I was in Marquesas, I think I was 24 or 25 years old. I was a kid right out of college. Mm-hmm. I was working, and I was working construction in Boston. It's November. It's cold, and I get this opportunity to go to an island to have some fun. I don't even actually think that I thought about winning the game then. You know what I mean? I was more there to have fun than I was to strategize or think about that. And it was evident in the challenge, the last challenge, the first individual immunity, when I got eliminated. I was screwing around, splashing water on the other contestants. I remember Probst even said, in the challenge, he goes, if anybody wants to splash water, they can do that. And I was like, all right, why not? Not even thinking that, I really need to win this. So my mindset was completely different. When I went into All-Stars, it was man, I have to, I concentrated more on strategy and how to get to the end and take no prisoners attitude. Mm-hmm. And whatever I needed to do to get there. And I'm a math guy. I figured out the math of every situation and never really considered the emotional or social part of the game like I did in later seasons. Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of that comes with maturity and comes with age and life experiences and stuff. So I don't know if that really answers your question or not, but Heidick didn't influence me. I remember I've watched every season of Survivor. There may have been one season where I missed part of it because Amber and I were on the race.
Yeah.
But there's a time where they start to blend together. And I remember Thailand, it wasn't really, it just wasn't a big, interesting season. Amazon after that with you was really good. And then, of course, the whole story of Pearl Islands was Rupert and Sandra.
Well, we didn't get to see that much of it. I think we left there. It was only like 6 episodes of Pearl Islands. Like, we knew who Rupert was a little bit, but we hadn't seen like Johnny Fairplay and the grandma and all that stuff.
Oh, we all knew who Rupert was.
Yeah. So let's go back to this season a little bit. Now, you also have Mike Skupin back there who, all the old survivors, we all kind of, know each other from like these parties and whatever. Were you excited to see Mike Skupin come back this season?
Yeah, I mean, I know he's been, I think this is something that he's wanted for a long time. I haven't seen or talked to Mike for years, but I met him like through the grapevine like you did at all these events and these charity events that we used to go to years ago. And I'm happy for him that he's getting another chance to get out there and do it. So far, he seems like he's doing all right. He obviously has a huge target because he's a returning player, but I think he's, kind of trying to play it low-key. It's funny because you really have to be aware of, your presence and how other people are perceiving you out there. And I think he's doing a pretty good job so far.
Yeah, he's interesting because I feel like he's been on the show for so long. We have he was on the show 12 years ago and he's on the show now, but we've only seen him go to tribal council twice somehow over this Survivor lifespan. And I feel like we still don't know a lot about Mike Skupin, the player. I mean, he went to tribal council. They voted off that lady, Deb, they all voted against her. They voted off Kimmy. Then he falls in the fire. And I feel like we don't really know how he plays the game strategically.
Yeah, or even if he has that in his bag of tricks, because you got to remember, from somebody that's played the game from like the early days until now, it's changed so much, and I think the mentality of the players was so much different in those early days. I mean, it was less about a strategic, thinking game than it was about actually surviving. I mean, it was more about actually surviving in the adventure, back then. So I'm sure he's watched and seen the other seasons. It'll be interesting to see if he's learned and he's able to adapt and be able to pick up some of those skills that are crucial nowadays.
Now, what about Penner? Have you ever run into Penner?
I don't think I've ever met him, actually, but I was a fan of his when he played. I liked the way he played the game. I'm trying to remember. There was a couple different seasons he was on. He was on like 3, right?
This is number 3. Yeah,
okay,
he was on.
Yeah. So he got injured in one or had an infection in his knee.
Yeah,
he like left that, right?
Fans versus favorites.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with his game, although I don't remember the strategy portion of it, but I remember him as a player, and I remember that I liked him.
Okay, how about?
Yeah, go ahead.
How about Jeff Kent? Were you pumped up to see Jeff Kent on this season of Survivor?
And he never played for the Red Sox.
No.
He seems like he's doing all right. Guys like that, they get a big target on them. It's if it gets out there, I think that was a really smart move of him personally, and I believe he was the driving force in that vote last night. But to get rid of that girl,
Dawson.
Is it Dawson? Yeah.
Yes.
To get rid of her, I got my computer on in front of me because I don't know all the names. Yeah. But it was smart. If it was, and I believe it should have been a good strategic move for him to get rid of her before she spilled the beans about him, if indeed nobody else knew it, because it's a huge liability. Any way you slice it, if people know that you got millions in the bank, at the end of the day, it's going to be much more difficult for them to give you the vote.
Yeah, because I think it's almost he's in almost the same boat if anybody finds out as these returning players are, which you have a lot of experience in sort of Redemption Island, where everybody else is new. They know that you're a returning player, and now you have to somehow convince them, hey, let's not just vote out the returning player. How do you do that?
Carefully. I mean, you got to tread. I mean, it's work, dude. It's work. Redemption Island was work for me, and a lot of luck too. At the very beginning of the game, I mean, it was 50-50 shot. I could have pulled the purple buff and ended up on the Zapatera tribe, and it could have been a completely different game. I still like to believe that I would have been able to work my way in there, but I don't know. I really don't. You got to kind of like the game. It's always changing, and in the morning you could be in all God's graces, and in the afternoon you're on the list. So. It's the one that's able to adapt the best to every situation and try to cover your bases as much as you can. But going back to what you were talking about Kent and that vote off last night, I think for him, he was the only person that benefited from that vote. I think as a tribe as a whole, they'd have been better off to get rid of the girl that came over.
Denise.
I'm sorry, I can't remember all the names.
That's okay.
These guys are
Now, in all of your tribal councils that you've been to, and I had my interns here. They ran some stats for us here today. You've been to 32 different tribal councils in your Survivor playing career, which is amazing.
A lot.
It is a lot. In 32 tribal councils, have you ever seen anything like what we saw last night, where Dawson is going to give Jeff Probst a kiss on the way out the door?
It was uncomfortable even to watch, wasn't it? You could tell, like you could see it in his eyes that he knew it was coming, and he was like, "I don't know what the right protocol is here," and I think he handled it pretty good. Yeah, that was definitely a first for sure.
Yeah, that was really crazy. What's the craziest reaction you've ever seen from somebody that you've been at a tribal council that get voted out? It's not me, is it?
And no, I don't know. It's funny. Philip was awesome at tribal council week in and week out. We'd wind him up and he'd go in there, and he didn't get voted out, but I mean, just to see him at tribal council was like going to the movies. He was awesome. he went off week in and week out, and it was great because he literally took tribal council is the place to air your grievances, literally. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we were in there sometimes for 3.5 hours. I mean, long tribal councils. But I don't know, reactions to people voted off. There've been a few good ones, I guess. I can't. None actually jump out to me.
All right, how about this? Now, in all your Survivor experiences,
that's probably the worst question you asked so far. By the way.
Okay, all right, we'll put that one down. So, in all your Survivor playing experiences, how does the weather on this season compare to the worst weather that you experienced, and what was the worst weather spot that you were in?
Well, you remember the night when we were in Panama
under that tarp,
had, the little hurricane come through. Were you there when the one?
Yeah, was it this when Jerry wanted to quit, and we were all we won the tarp, but we hadn't put it up yet, and we were all sort of just under this sweaty tarp.
That was pretty bad. Marquesas seems to me like it was the most shocking, only because I think it was so new. It's funny because when you've played the game multiple times, I feel like you kind of get conditioned to it. Mm-hmm. Not that it's horrendous. You know how bad it is, and then when you go back, you forget it. 5 minutes after you're home, you're like, all right, let's go do it again. But then you get back out there and it's bad. But I think knowing that it's coming and knowing that it's going to suck and it's going to rain and it's going to be miserable, you're going to be cold, it gives you a big advantage because it's going to be like that. But at the end of the day, the sun does come out. There was the first couple days of Heroes and Villains was pretty bad too. I remember the first couple days it was raining. We were having we got fire and then we lost fire and then we were having trouble keeping it going, and we really didn't have a shelter. I mean, nobody was motivated that season to build a shelter. Luckily, we won that tarp, and I think we actually got 2 tarps that season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but Panama, the weather, that weather in Panama was pretty bad.
yeah. I'm
Samoa
glad you
was
bring up
probably
okay, that point on the heroes versus villains where you had the self-diagnosed crybaby-itis, because it was a very similar situation to what happened last night where the doctor the doctor came out. Dana had a severe case of crybaby-itis, you could say, because the doctors came out and said, "Oh, she's good. She looks all right to me. Tummy ache." But they say,
I don't know, man. It's real. It's real.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt for her watching it. It's tough. I mean, it really is. In my personal situation, when that happened, I don't remember any of it.
mm-hmm.
I don't remember passing out. I remember waking up and everything, but I don't remember passing out. All I knew was I was severely dehydrated.
Yeah.
I ended up, pulling through, and it was fine. But when you're out there in that situation, man, the elements, they kick your ass.
Yeah.
It really does. And you're away from home, and there's nobody else. I mean, look, last night I could see it in Penner's eyes, and he's a returning player, but, and he was like, "Oh, it's so bad that you're going. It's so tough. You're a strong, But on the inside, he's like, "All right, one down," because you feel for the people, but if you got the game mentality, that's like what you're really thinking.
Right.
It's like, okay, another one gone. It's one closer to the money for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he definitely was. You're right on that, because he was "Oh, we'll miss you."
Sounds harsh, but that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah. Well, and especially because she wasn't even in his alliance. So it's, there's sort of like a men versus women thing going on there. So he's like, okay. Then now we have the numbers too.
Yeah.
So how about, some of these other people from this season, I just want to get your quick take on. All right, so how about this guy, Pete, who, do you see him? Is he a little bit of a Marquesas, Boston Rob out there right now?
I think so. Yeah, I would say that's a pretty accurate description. He's having fun, and he's playing this one and that one and everything else, and trying to, but he's got to watch out because that'll catch up with him. Yeah, I would say that's a pretty good analysis. Speaking of analysis, you know who you remind me of?
Who?
Ray Romano.
Okay.
Am I right? What is it? Is it the Mets? Is it the Mets analogy, or what is it about him?
Yeah, he's a Mets fan, and I think a Jets fan also. So
that's a compliment, by the way. That's
a compliment.
I appreciate it. I find him very funny, and I like him, but just like in his own world a little bit.
Yeah,
that's accurate.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I'll take that.
I was going to say Romano combined with Howard Stern, but I didn't want you to start going nuts.
Okay, yeah, don't let me go nuts. So yeah, you keep me in my place. Don't worry. Let's see. How about Malcolm? He's another guy who's gotten a lot of airtime this season. What's your sense of Malcolm?
I think he's pretty level-headed. I think he has the ability, if he's able to work himself into that tribe, and the other girl comes back, Denise. I'm going to remember her name from now on. If Denise comes back, then I think together they could do some damage. Even if she goes, like, he just seems like he's pretty smart. It was indicative. I'll tell you what, the one move that I didn't like that he did was getting rid of the Angie girl. And the reason why is because she's always going to be a liability.
Yeah.
She's always going to be a liability to go, and you could have gotten rid of her further down the line, and she's going to do whatever you ask her to do. So I didn't think that was, whatever. They ended up losing it anyway. And I don't know, here's the other thing, Rob. We can Monday morning quarterback this thing as much as we want, but even though we've played the game as many times and had the experience that we've had, we really don't know what's going on out there. We don't know the true interdynamics of what's going on this season and their tribe and what's being shown and everything else. So, you can't, to say one guy's going to do good or one guy's going to do bad, it's based on what we've been shown. You don't really know the true full story.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a reasonable facsimile, but there's so
It's
much
like
that
the
we don't see.
disclaimer in case I'm wrong about anything.
Well, that's good. Are any of these other players? Is anybody else doing anything that you've keyed in on the last couple episodes from this season? That's something that relates back to your experiences.
It's early. It's early. Once the merge comes around, that's when the true battle lines are going to be drawn. Going from 3 tribes to 2 tribes, it's gonna change the numbers and the dynamics of the game. It'll be interesting to see, because now 1 tribe's down 2 players. Going into the next couple of weeks here, what happens as far as challenges and who wins and who loses. If they go in tied versus one side up or another, you're going to see different. It's a different strategy. You have to employ a different strategy. It's almost as if one tribe is down and that girl Denise is still in, or Malcolm is still in, because Denise is the only team that could be down, because if Malcolm's team loses both, they'll be even, right?
Right.
So if Denise's team loses another one, then there's a possibility that Malcolm could come back over. Although I don't really see that happening. He kind of broed it up with the other guys, and they're in these whole guy things. So I think that's going to be strong. I think those guys are going to stick together. Scoop and Smart, he knows not to rock the boat, early. I think he does anyway. He should know. And if he does, then, that will be the prevailing alliance, I think, those guys out of that tribe.
Yeah. And how about Lisa Welchill from the Facts of Life? Now, one, were you a fan of Facts of Life?
I don't remember ever watching an episode, but I do remember her on the show. And yeah.
Yeah, I don't see you watching that show.
Yeah, I wasn't really I remember the is it Trudy or Tootie?
Tootie.
Or whatever? I do remember it. God, showing how old I am. But yeah, I remember watching.
Now, do you like stuff like this when they have Jeff Kent and Blair from Facts of Life on Survivor?
I don't know, man. It is what it is now. The show has evolved, Mm-hmm. I don't really particularly care for it, but whatever, it is what it is. At the end of the day, the show still has to, bring in ratings from somewhere. And if that's what gets it done, then, good for them.
Yeah. What are they going to keep bringing you back?
Right.
Yeah, it's either that or get Blair from Facts of Life.
There you
or
go.
Jeff
so
Kent.
With Blair.
Yeah. One or the other. All right, so I have so many questions for you from our listeners that we broke our record here for most questions that we've gotten on our Facebook page. We're closing in on about 300 here as we approach this, and we broke the record by about 100 here. So let me jump around with some of these questions. And if you don't like any of these ones, these are from other people. I didn't write these questions.
Okay.
Oh, disclaimer. Okay.
No disclaimer, right?
Yeah. All right. Let's bounce around here through the seasons, and then some of these are about Survivor Philippines. Here's one from Tyler Sloan. He wants to know, if Tyson didn't mess up the vote on Heroes versus Villains, what was going to be the game plan moving forward, and who was your final 3 on that season?
I was in tight with Tyson and Sandra. And I would say I don't know that he actually messed up the game plan. Like, he made a mistake. It was horrendous what he did. He knows he did. But, like, with Survivor strategy-wise, you need to think about, like, a lot of people think the best way to approach the game is to figure out what's the best strategy for me. And that will only get you so far in your thinking. You actually have to think about what's the best strategy for everybody else. And how does that affect my strategy? And that was one thing that I never really considered, because it seemed like a no-brainer in that vote for him to go along with it. And, like, after the fact, he and I, we became friends, went to Australia together. We never really talked about it, you know what I mean? But I have to believe in his mind that he felt that by voting the way he did, that it was going to be Parvati anyway. Russell was never going to give her the idol, so that in this way he could still stay in their good graces, and I would never know about it. Obviously, it didn't work out. But moving forward, it was me and Sandra and Tyson, and depending who went that night, either Russell or Parvati, the other one would go the next night.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about Heroes and Villains is we came to Samoa to shoot that show, and there were, how many people were on that season? 17?
20.
There were 20 people. Man, that's a huge difference too. The dynamics of strategy changed from 20 people to 18 people, like dramatically. It's like, it would take me a real long time to explain it, but it's like a huge difference. Anyway, we got there, and there's 19 people that have played the game before, and then all of a sudden one new guy. And you know how they do the interviews before the game starts or right when it starts, and they say, who's going first? And immediately I say, look, if this guy's on my tribe, he's going first, talking about Russell.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's an unknown quantity. I don't know anything about him, and he obviously had to do something to get to this point. You know what I mean? That they're going to bring him back for another season, and he was on the season before, that he had to have done something that was pretty ridiculous. So that was my thinking going into it. It ended up changing to who was it? Randy, because we just couldn't rally at that point. We're losing, and we're like, all right, we got to keep him around because he's a young guy and stuff. Randy was older, and that was it. And it went from there. And so it would have been Parvati or Russell, and then the other one, and then myself, Tyson, and Sandra were in the alliance. Coach and Jerry was on the outs. I mean, Jerry I never trusted at all. I mean, she's still harboring whatever from All Stars going into Heroes and Villains. Mm-hmm. At one point, I think she said something on the beach to me, something like, take care of me and I'll take care of you. I was like, oh, that's pretty touching. You know, like, really? Really? So there was never any, you know, trust there that I could actually bank on.
Yeah.
And Danielle, like, here's what I should have done, and I didn't do. Like, you talk about hindsight, and you can Monday morning quarterback, like I said, like, after the fact, you know how it is, you think about what could I have done differently, and I actually thought about this, and I didn't do it, and I like, you know, just because, and it's my own fault, I was fixated on breaking up Russell and Parvati, and it was an error in my judgment, but what I should have done was rally Sandra. Oh, it was Courtney was a fourth in our alliance. Mm-hmm. It was Sandra, Courtney, me, and Tyson. And I should have just rallied the four of us, and we should have just got rid of Danielle. Because with Danielle gone, there was no leg to stand on. And I actually said it. And I said it to Tyson. I go, you know what? There's four of us. We could just get rid of Danielle and then get one of them the next time. But it was just like we weren't sure, and Coach was with us, and then he wasn't with us. And it was after Tyson's vote went wrong that I think Coach lost faith in the alliance, and he was able to be swayed by Jerry. So then ultimately I was gone next. Because still, if myself, Courtney, Sandra, Coach, and Jerry stayed together, then we still could have got them. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know Jerry wasn't on, but we could have at least forced a tie. And Coach knew that, and he kind of took the easy way. But, like, you got to play to win in this game. You don't play to go far. And I get that you can't go far without surviving another day. But ultimately, if you don't have all your ducks in a row, you know what I mean, then you're not going to get past. You're only going to make it so far.
Yeah. Well, I think this is something that's interesting about your game, and I don't know if it's like the poker mentality or that's why you're a good poker player, but it's almost like if there was a computer that ran the simulation of you on Survivor, it's like, you know, you're probably going to get to the end a certain number of times, and then a certain number of times you're going to be out early, but there's not going to be a lot of times.
You know what, dude? I would rather it no other way.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I don't want, like, to me, the absolute most devastating thing would be to finish like fourth. Yeah, you know what I mean? Or good. Fifth. Like, to get close and then to have to like vote for somebody else to win. Like, I'm kind of an all-or-nothing guy, and I like the way it ended up turning out. You know, it's indicative of my style of play. But having said that, Rob, like, there are literally multiple ways that you can win this game, you know, in multiple different personalities. And what works for me won't work for everybody. I'm the type of person that if I'm on the bus, I have to drive the bus. I can't ride the bus. I can't take a backseat approach to this game. It's just not in my mentality. It's not in my personality. It won't work. So unless I drive, I won't, you know, I can't play the game as like a backseat player. Not to say that a backseat player can't play the game, play it well, and win, because that's been done. It's a different strategy. But you need to know who you are as a person and as a player before you get to that island and know how you're going to play. You know what I mean? It's very specific. And like with me, the way I played has changed and evolved over the years because I've been different over the years. You know, I was 24 and single the first time I played, and 35 or 34 and married with, you know, kids the last time over like 10 years. So,
well, I think what you're saying perfectly lines up with the season, because take a look at a guy like Russell Swan, who came into this game. The last time he played, he was the leader of the tribe, and I thought it worked well for him. But he came into the game this time. He said, "Hell, I'm not going to be the leader. No way. That's the guy that everybody votes out. I'm going to sit back. I'm not going to play that way this time." And look where it got him.
It's a good analogy. Yeah, it's a really good analogy. You know, but different people have played this game from the other perspective and done a brilliant job at it. I'm just saying that I couldn't have done it. I can't play that way. You know, it's not in my mentality. At the same time, I can learn. I feel like I play the way I played in All-Stars, similar in the other seasons since then, but all of a sudden I realized after All-Stars that you need a social game to win this thing. I mean, you can bulldoze your way to the end. You can strategize, you can be physical, you can do everything, but above all of that, if you're not socially a good player, you're never going to get the win. And someone that's equal on the strategy and the physical and the social will win every time.
I mean, well, you said
we're not
gonna. Yeah, I agree. I was gonna compliment you, but you said no butt kissing. But so we won't go there. Let me go to another question. This is from Alan Northway. He says, voting out Hunter marked a turning point in Survivor strategically. Was it difficult to convince people to vote off someone so strong? Let's go way back, okay? Now, this is the first really crazy thing that you do on Survivor, where you guys vote out Hunter. People were like, rioting. They said, "What is this? What are they doing? They're losing. They're voting out this guy. He's so good. He's strong. This guy." People thought you were a lunatic, as a fan at this point. For me, watching you do this, what did you learn out of that whole experience?
Actually, the first crazy thing I did wasn't voting off Hunter. It was voting off Peter Harkey. Nobody remembers him, but he's the first guy that left from Marquesas. Completely able, likable guy, you know?
Yeah.
Just a little bit out there. But I said to myself, this game is a game about being the best on your tribe. If they're looking at somebody like Hunter as like the All-American Captain America guy, how am I ever going to compete with that? I'm going to be in his shadow the whole time. And I just felt like I could never fully take control of the game unless he was gone. I needed him to be gone to take control of the game. Look, it's no big secret, too. The way you want to play Survivor is surrounded by people that are going to be obedient and people that you can, ultimately beat in the end. He was, very firm in his position of where he was in life. He was a pilot, this, that, and everything else. And I just knew, like, he had control over Gina, and let me remember now. It was Sarah, me, Sean, and Vesepia. There was the 4 alliance, right? Right. And then the other alliance was me, Sarah, Sean, Vesepia, and Gina, because Gina didn't know which way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, Sarah wasn't in that alliance. It was me, Hunter, Sean, Vesepia, and Gina.
Okay.
There was no breaking up Sean and Vesepia. I mean, they clicked and bonded over their roots and being African American from the beginning, and I saw that, and I could see that was going to be an unbreakable bond. Sarah was willing to go along with me to a degree, but I could see that there was a little bit of she wanted to be her own person too, which ultimately you don't want. You want people that you're going to be able to control and that will listen to reason and that ultimately are going to do what you ask them to do. Hunter wasn't going to do what I asked him or told him to do, and from the very early on, he was trying to be diplomatic and stuff, but I could see him getting frustrated, so the only choice was to vote him out. I mean, but, I learned an important lesson that season, and that was this, okay? So by voting out Hunter, I was able to become the captain of the boat, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. But being the captain of the boat, and here's a lesson, is completely useless if your boat is sinking. And my boat was sinking. So I was captain of a ship that was going down.
Yeah.
And then the tribe switch happened, which is, one of those luck things of Survivor, and you have nothing to do about it. So first and foremost, you need to promote unity within your tribe, and you need to win. You got a huge advantage if you win the first couple of challenges. There's always going to be someone that's annoying and that's going to be the easy first boot.
Hey.
And
is that a shot?
What's that?
Is that a shot?
No, it wasn't you. I told you we voted you off.
All right.
You were smart.
I'm sensitive about that.
You're not really, are you? Seriously, after all these years? You knew, though.
I was just worried that you said...
we voted you off, did you not?
There's somebody who's annoying that's the easy first boot. I just wanted to make sure.
It was easy because you were different. That's the other thing about Survivor, is that, you kind of, like when you're a new player and stuff, you kind of want to be like everyone else. And not that you weren't, but you were... Okay, this is you were like so like a super like into the show. You loved it. You could see it.
Yeah.
And your knowledge, I remember those first couple of days around camp with you, Rob. Like your knowledge about the show was like uncanny compared to like everybody else out there. You knew everything. You know who else like literally like knew everything about everybody out there was Randy Bailey.
Yeah.
He, like, knew everything about everybody. That's so dangerous. Knowledge is power in that game, So, I mean, someone like that knows, like, the ins and outs and the little nuances, and as funny as it is, it's easy to paint a target on someone like that and make them, the scapegoat. Peter Harkey, anytime there's something that's different in any way that you can kind of go on and on about, then other people will get at you. I mean, it's easy to rally around someone that's different. It's kind of cruel in a way, but sorry, buddy.
Yeah, it's all right. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail that question, but interesting to hear us go back that far. Laura Holtzwasser, she wants to be called Boston Laura. She wants to know, what was your all-time high moment?
Hold on one second.
Yes.
The other thing I want to say about that, because I'm thinking it through now, was I knew that you were smart enough to be able to let it ride for a little while.
Yeah.
And tell me if I'm wrong, but I knew that you wouldn't rock the boat eventually, but I knew down the road you would have me in your crosshairs.
Yeah.
You know who else did the exact same thing?
Who?
Francesca from Redemption. Oh. And I love Francesca. But I could tell, you could feel it. You're like, okay, she's going to play nice and this and that and everything else. Christina was the one that was running around looking for the idol on Redemption, but I knew who she was. I could see that player, and I knew where it was, and I knew I would be able to get rid of her later down the line. Someone like Francesca, who's going to be coy and sly, if you give them the opportunity later on, it's going to come back to get you. So you got to get rid of them right away.
Yeah, well, this is, we've actually never talked about this, so this is really interesting. So You're absolutely right. I mean, my thought process coming into the All-Stars was I just came off the Amazon. I mean, the Amazon ended in May. Jeff Probst says, yo, here's the smartest player never to win. I know all the other survivors are annoyed about this. It's really 6 months later. It's in, we're playing in November of 2003. And I'm like, nobody's going to trust me. Nobody's going to believe me. I am going to be on my best behavior. I'm not going to do anything underhanded. I'm not going to do anything sneaky. And, you come along, you say, hey, it's you, and I don't have to do the impression, but it's you, it's me, it's Big Tom, it's Amber. I said, great, this is great. Let's get, we're going to get rid of Alicia, I'm going to get rid of Sue, and all I need to do is make the merge. And then once I make the merge, then and now it's free. Now it's open season. I can flip flop. I figure now I've only seen you in Marquesas. I see the guy who's going to go like, with all due respect, self-destruct a little bit when things get rough, like in Marquesas, where you're getting into fights with John and all this stuff.
You know what, though? In Marquesas, I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but in Marquesas, like, literally, like, I was having fun and I was, doing whatever. But when we went into that season, literally, there were only two people that knew how to play that game strategically, from my point of view. Mm-hmm. And this is not an insult to any of the other people that I played with, but I felt like me and John Carroll, the nurse, were the only two that really, understood the strategy. So, like, once we got to the point where you say I so-called self-destructed, I mean, that was the last-ditch effort to kind of show these people, like, what's going on here. A lot of people after the fact take credit for, like, switching the game and this and that. And, look, here's the thing, Rob. Every single person that played Survivor that's been voted off will always tell you that it came back to them. It was a decision that they did or didn't do or something that changed the whole course of the whole game. If I had done this different, this would have changed the whole thing and this would have happened. And I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that, like, there weren't many people that recognized what was going on. Had I not made that, like, I literally knew at that point I wasn't going to win the game when I didn't win immunity, and I was going to get voted off. But I said to myself, if I'm getting voted off, right, and they're not going to play with me, then I'm not letting this kid win it. Mm-hmm. And so I, like, did everything I could to try to switch it. They didn't figure it out until, like, 1 or 2 votes later. But they did eventually, know, and I don't feel bad about it. But had I not done that, I think John Carroll may have gone a lot further than he did.
I think that's a pretty accurate statement. And then back to our game. I was gonna, I'm gonna be on my best behavior. You totally nailed it. I'm not gonna give these guys any. Now I could have done a better job. I think I did get on people's nerves there towards the end. I think, especially, I always felt like me and you were good, but I felt like I was like a little annoying for Amber and Alicia, and I started to feel like, Alicia and Amber, they had the bond from Australia, and I felt I was getting a little squeezed out there, but I felt like at the worst I'm better than Sue Hawk, and, but whatever. But you're absolutely right, I was going to just, I wasn't going to bother anybody until later in the game. And then people say, well, you didn't do anything. What were you doing out there? So, I didn't get a chance to do anything. That's not what I did.
You didn't think you were going home. You were in no trouble and you're trying to be easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's hindsight's 20/20, but I mean, literally the only thing you could have done to have not gotten voted out at that point was to not be on my tribe.
Well, okay. Well, that makes me feel better.
Well, I mean, because there was no question. There was no question at that point. And, honestly, dude, I'm not blowing smoke. That's a compliment. It is.
I take it as one, and I appreciate that. Because, believe me, I have racked my brain over after
Why didn't you just pick up the phone and call me?
Well, again, I did. You know what? I never wanted to be somebody who was like, one of these people where it was like, because I had that a little bit with my season, that, I had people who come up to me and, were kind of jerks about the whole thing. So I try to take it in stride, but I definitely, for a while, I'm like, what could I have done differently if I would have known?
You couldn't have done anything different. And to your point about people that have been jerks, like, you got to understand, like, this is a process, and everybody's going to decompress at their own rate. Some people, like, the minute they leave, they're good. Other people, it takes years, and other people, they never get, they never get over it. They never get it. They never, so, and to each their own. Everybody's experiences is different, and, so it's the funniest thing. Like, Amber and I, we still watch to this day, like, every week. And yes, I make crispy rice at home all the time. But when we watch, like the one thing that, like, I've kind of noticed is that it doesn't matter if you're voted off first or third or 10th or make it all the way to the end. The people invariably, in their exit interviews, they always said this was an awesome experience. It was an experience of a lifetime. I wouldn't change anything, and thank you, and it was unbelievable. And especially for the people that have been on there 3 days, you got to be saying to yourself, are you kidding me? 3 days on the island change your life? It's life-changing. But the actuality is, when they're out there and they're saying that in the moment, they 100% believe it. It's true. It's true. They believe it, and they feel it, because they've never gone through anything like this, and they feel like the bonding is, and you and I both know, like, after you come back, it's fleeting. You're home in your house, and you all of a sudden, after you've appreciated your bed and the roof over your head and not getting bit by mosquitoes and not sleeping in the sand and everything else, a couple months goes by, and it's all of a sudden you take it all for granted. But in the moment, like, they really do feel that and appreciate it. So everybody's experience is different, and the decompression is different. And, like, you can't summarize or equate what somebody's feeling or what they're going through or how they're going to react after the fact to anybody else in the game. People that have, like really close in the game, then after the fact, they're not close at all, and differently. Tyson, like, what happened in Heroes and Villains was completely ridiculous. Tyson and I, to this day, are I feel like, probably one of the closest people that I'm close with, besides, like, my wife and maybe, I don't even know who else, Sean from Marquesas, and Peter Harkey, of all people. Like, but we connect, and we're friends, and we let it go, and it's done.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's a very interesting game that we've played, and I know that you're very, you're the same as me. Is I don't think you're one of these people that takes it for granted. Everything that we've gotten at this point, has in some way, shape, or form been through Survivor. You met your wife on Survivor. I met my wife through watching the Survivor when I was on it. It's a life-changing thing. Yeah,
and I've gotten more than it than I could have ever dreamed. And believe me, I realize it, and I recognize it, and I'm more than appreciative of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's unbelievable, the opportunities I've gotten, what I've gotten to do, and, like, don't think for a minute that I take any of them for granted, because I don't.
Yeah,
but let's answer the girl's question that you said before when I cut you off, because I don't want her to not get her question.
Okay. Here we go. She wants to know, Laura Holtzwasser wants to know, what is the all-time high moment on Survivor and what is the all-time low moment? Do you have one of each?
The high moment would be at the All Stars finale.
Let's take that off the table. Let's say proposing.
Well, okay.
How about this?
We're married 7.5 years. I got 3 now. That's a high moment.
Besides the two obvious ones, proposing to Amber and you winning the game, is there a third moment? Make it challenging.
Yeah, there was the final challenge of Redemption Island. I remember before we went to the challenge, and not the one where I had to run up the stairs. That was pretty cool too, and I actually beat a former NFL player. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But the final challenge, when it was myself, Philip, Ashley,
Yeah.
and Natalie. I remember before I got to that challenge, the day before or whatever, and it hit me all of a sudden. It's funny, like I play the game for X number of days and seasons and all this time, and all of a sudden I'm in this situation where I have to win this challenge, and if I don't have to win it, I have to vote for one of the other three to win. And it like hits me. Like, I don't know how, because I think I know the last time that I made it to the end was in All Stars, and it was Amber, me, and who was at the end?
Jenna Lewis, come on.
Jenna Lewis, sorry. Yeah. And the three of us stood on that thing, and we had to hold our hands on the idol. And
right.
I knew, like, even though I knew I had to win, I also knew that if Amber won, I was still going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it, like, hit me that it was, like, all on me, this one challenge, and it all came down to this. It's one challenge. If I win this challenge, I'm pretty much going to win $1 million. And if I don't, there's a pretty good chance I'm going home, you know? So winning that challenge was probably I think, I don't know if you watched the reaction, I remember seeing it. I was like literally like almost like in tears after, because I just knew it was like such an emotional purging. I actually cried after I won on the way back to camp. And it was just like I couldn't stop myself. Like, you know how it is out there,
and
dude. The emotions get better of you.
And you were cashing that check after you knew you were going to the end with Philip and Natalie.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, you never know. I mean,
you never know.
I felt really good after the final tribal council.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like one of those things, dude. It's like you don't say it until it's done.
Right.
So,
right.
But I had a good feeling.
And then what all-time low? Do you have one?
I enjoyed like most of my time out there. Like I really don't. I don't know what it is, dude. I must be sick, but I love being out there. I love the elements. I love, like, even when it's pouring, raining, and it's really hard, it doesn't bother me so much. I think because like my mentality is like I look around and I see everybody else, and I see like a 60-year-old woman or like, like a young girl or something, and it's like they're going through it too, so you really have no business complaining about anything.
Yeah.
I don't have, that's, I guess, really telling right there. I don't have like a really low point from when I was out there.
All right. Well, let me go back to something you were talking about with the final three. Now, you've had this both ways. You've been in a final two. You've been in a final three. Now it seems like they're only doing final threes. Now, you've won the game in a final three. What do you prefer? I know you're biased because you won in the final three and you lost in the final two. But what do you think is better for the show?
Well, I don't know, dude. It depends. Because there's no clear-cut answer. Because literally, it seems that it's almost like every time there's a final three, you have like one person in there that has no chance.
Yeah.
Right? They're zero contender, and then it's between the other two. But in a final two, it seems more split. I mean, I don't know the numbers, and I could be wrong on this, but this is just my perception, that when there's two people, it's not so one-sided. So it makes for more drama, but at the same time, there's not enough days, like logistically thinking, there's not enough days in the game to go from 18 people to 2 people, or from 20 people to 2 people. So I think, and I could be wrong, but I think the reason they've gone to 18 and 20 people is because the game is like, like people don't make it anymore. In the early days, there was none of that. People went all the way, but now, like if they start with 16 people, like the original premise was, and you lose 1 or 2 people to like injury or sickness or whatever, they want to quit. I mean, you got airtime, you got to fill. You don't have a full show.
Oh, that's interesting. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they got 18 and 20 people, is because, every season it seems like there's something. So when it comes down to 3, That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. I like the final two. I think that's better drama, like we were talking about back in the All-Stars, where it's final five and you've got to figure out a way to get rid of Big Tom because you don't want him there in the end. I think that makes a better TV show, just as a person sitting at home. As a Survivor player, sure, give me a final three. Give me a better chance to, get in that final.
You actually have
council.
less of a chance to win with the final three.
Ah.
But the same dynamic still exists.
Yeah.
You don't realize it because you're not realizing it as a viewer, but instead of happening at 5, it actually happens at 7.
Right.
But that same dynamic does exist. It just happens so much earlier. It happens like 3 episodes after the merge, if they merge at 10, and you're not aware of it. But when it's 3-3 or 4-3, it's still there.
Yeah. It's a personal preference. I like the 2, but if you like the 3, that's fine.
No, I'm not saying I like either. I'm just saying it's
okay.
what it is.
All right, let's see. Jessica Frey wants to know, the esteemed Jessica Frey. I have a question for Boston Rob. I'm one of his biggest fans, and it seems like Boston Rob can do anything, but his kryptonite is food. I mean the farfue. What do you call it? Farfaroo?
Buffalo, yeah.
The meat on the Amazing Race, the rice has to always be crispy. What is it about you and food?
I'm Italian. I don't like to eat garbage.
All right.
100% right. That's my kryptonite. I can't do it. I can't do it. For years, they asked me to do Fear Factor. When Fear Factor was on, I was like, there's no chance. I was like, I could never do it.
And Jessica wants to know, can you please have Boston Rob just say her name? Will you say Jessica Frey?
Jessica Frey.
Okay. Kevin Donnelly wants to know, in a recent interview, Russell Hantz said that he would have voted for you to win in Survivor Redemption Island if he was on the jury, which is an interesting fact in its own. But who would you have voted for to win in Marquesas and on Heroes vs. Villains if you made it that far? Now, you've never had to vote for somebody else to win the money. But if you had to, are you going Nalia or Vesepia on Marquesas?
I don't know. Probably based on who played the game better, I don't know. Probably Vesepia, only because she was from my tribe, and she kind of overcame that numerical advantage. I didn't really see Nalia do too much out there. And again, it's not a slight on her, but I would probably have voted for Vesepia, given that final 2. And on Heroes and Villains, it's Parvati. Parvati played the
Interesting.
The best game. Yeah, she overcame the most. And that's not to take anything away from Sandra either, because Sandra played good, but I just feel like Parvati had to overcome more to get to the end. But Sandra was she was in my alliance and in the minority the entire time, and she overcame a lot, but Parvati had a target on her head from the minute we got there, so I would have voted for her.
Yeah, I thought you would have said Sandra. What do you know? You're always surprising me.
Yeah. I like Sandra, though. I like Parvati, too. I like them both.
All right. Let's see. How about this? Paolo Arago, and I got this question a lot in a lot of different variations. He wants to know, Survivor All-Winner season happens. Would you and or Amber join? I got this probably asked 20 different ways. Now, we know somebody's got to stay home and watch the kids. So now do you say, all right, Amber, I just won. It's your turn to go play?
I can't speak for her, but I'm done playing Survivor.
Really?
And I feel like I've gotten everything I wanted out of it and more. I really have. I have no reason. An all-winners season would be not advantageous to me at all. I feel like I've gotten all the way to the end, and I've done what I wanted to do. I've accomplished it. I won the game, and I've gotten everything out of it. So, I'm happy with the way things turned out.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be tough to say no, but I do think that you would have an uphill road to climb. Because I always say this about the Survivors. The Survivors don't really care about who won before or whatever. They care about who's gotten the most airtime, who's the most famous. And I think with that in mind, I think a lot of these other winners are going to come there and say, oh, we're going to get Boston Rob. We'll show him. Sort of like how they treated.
It wouldn't be as easy as you think to say. It wouldn't be as hard as you'd think it might be to say no. And it's not because of those reasons, but it is because, like, honestly, dude, I feel fulfilled. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like I've gotten to do everything that I want to do. Your points are valid, and it is not to discount them in any way. You're absolutely right. I mean, at the end of the day, if you think about it, Rob, the same dynamic existed in Survivor All-Stars.
Yeah.
It was like whoever was, and someone like Amber and I were able to escape those first couple of days largely because people were like, who?
Yeah.
So that's why someone like, in Heroes and Villains, look, like someone like Danielle DiLorenzo goes, far in the beginning and vaguely unnoticed for a bit. I mean, I didn't even know who she was when we got there.
Yeah.
It's not like, I like Danielle, and I think she's a good player. She's, but I didn't, and that's a marked advantage. So aside from the fact that it would be a huge disadvantage, I feel like I've gotten everything I wanted out of it, and I'm cool with it, All
right, here's one from Omar Zahir. He wants to know, in 4 seasons, who was your most challenging adversary to play against, and who has impressed you the most strategically overall? Was there one person that when you went up against that this was, you have to tip your cap, this is like the hardest person to play against out of anybody through 4 seasons?
There's a lot of people. I mean, I don't know if I can single out just one. In the very first season, John Carroll he was tough because, I mean, he knew the game, and his problem, I think, in that season was pride. He gloated a lot that this is the way it's going, and he knew what he was doing. You got to remember, like in those early days, like I said, most of those people were there for the adventure. They weren't there for the hardcore strategy gameplay. But he was probably, he was my undoing. I mean, aside from, that we got switched up in the tribe, the game itself, dude, is probably the biggest ass kicker. It really is, more so than any other person. I haven't really had, like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But, like, the game throws things at you. They are so unexpected, and you can't do anything about. When tribes get switched, I mean, Amber got switched. We had that switch in All-Stars, and, like, every single person drew a buff. Yeah. And the tribes ended up exactly the opposite except for one person. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the elements, shit, in Heroes and Villains, I got sick, and there's nothing I could do about. On Redemption Island, it wasn't shown on TV, but the very first night I was puking my brains out from being dehydrated. Mm-hmm. We hustled and worked so hard on Redemption Island to build a shelter that was like really, really, really kick-ass on the first night, and it just took everything out of us.
Yeah.
On Redemption Island, here's, like, what's interesting is Philip, in the beginning, was probably one of my biggest adversaries, and I ended up turning him into, like, a team player, like somebody that I could rely on, one of my best alliance mates of all time. But in the beginning, it was completely the opposite. From the minute we landed on the beach, I mean, I remember walking to our camp after the open, and they wanted to take a team picture. The photo department, and I said something to Philip. I said, I didn't know his name at that point. I said, "Hey, we got to go over here and take a picture." And he looked at me. He said something to the effect of, "I don't need to be told where to go." And I was like, "Whoa, red flag," and literally was out to get me from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. Luckily, I was able to turn that situation around.
Yeah. You brought up the Amber getting switched over thing from All Stars, and we haven't talked about that at all. And it's really one of the more famous things that happened to you while you were on the show. Now, I'm sure you talked about this a ton at the time, but when it actually happened, when you're saying to Lex, hey, take care of her, I'll take care of you, in the moment, do you know at that point that you're not going to honor that? Or is it something that after thinking about it for a while, it's like, I got to take this out. I'm not going to have this opportunity later.
Never thought about it, to be honest with you. I never really thought about it in the moment. In the moment, it was more of like a last-ditch effort for me to try something. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't think there's any chance in the world she's staying. It's like ridiculous that she did stay. But I figured I had to try something. So I did. And it worked. And then after the fact, it's like, well, what am I going to do here? I can't. And I mean, I don't know. Lex took it really, really personal and really hard. And, like, I've heard some of his interviews, and I get, that it was hard. It was a lot harder from him than it was for me, obviously, because he's on the losing end of the deal. But I didn't mean to, hurt him, as a friend or anything. And I've said this to him in the past. It's been years I haven't spoken with Lex. But, I never... I don't know. I truly never meant to hurt him. That tribal council was probably one of the things throughout the entire time I've been on Survivor that I regret. Mm-hmm. They beat me down and made me feel terrible. They really did. And I wish in the moment I just stood up and said, kiss my ass. Mm-hmm. Whatever, I play the game better than you. But I didn't. I was conflicted. I didn't know. I was like, shit, I just played this awesome game. I did everything I could to get to the end. And here they are belittling everything I did and going at me. And I don't know. I I let them make me feel bad. And I wish I never did. Mm-hmm. But, that's hindsight,
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of an interesting thing because I think the thing that people forget too is they're down in the numbers anyway, right? I guess it's who's there? It's Lex is there, Kathy, Sheehan, and Jerry. So
right.
even
Jerry's gone. It wasn't Jerry. It was someone else.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, it was a simple let's us take you out, And mm-hmm. Look, truth be told, there are a lot of different dynamics where things could have worked different ways and everything else. And it wasn't good for his game that I voted him out or whatever else. And, of course it's not. But had the situation been reversed, and I guess my point is this. Him voting off Jerry versus Amber mm-hmm. is really no skin off of his back if he thinks he's going to get to, cash in mm-hmm. on the other end. So it's just a situation where he did what was in his best interest, right? Mm. In my opinion. And I think he'll argue that it was probably more in his best interest to keep Jerry, and that may be true. But I think, from a strategic point of view, it is in his best interest to keep Amber if he thinks that I will deliver a favor for him. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as it happened in the moment, I don't know. I hadn't given that much thought to it. That's the honest truth.
Well, I think Lex unfairly gets criticized that was a dumb move. What he did to vote out Jerry.
No, I don't think it was a dumb move.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No, because from a strategic point of view, it makes complete sense for what mm-hmm. he did. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a Hail Mary.
He ends up looking silly because I don't come through on the other end. Mm-hmm. But from his point of view, I don't think it was, it makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm. Because it probably would have been, let's say you go through with that, you keep Lex and Kathy around. Now you're voting out, who, Alicia and.
But no, it won't work like that because even if I keep Lex and Kathy, see, this is what the flip side of it, which I understand completely. I don't know if everybody else does or if they even do, but even if we keep Lex and Kathy, right, mm-hmm. and Amber's there, and it's me, Lex, Kathy, and Amber, and Big Tom, where do you think me and Amber are going to end up? Mm-hmm. 4 and 5, right?
Well, that's fair.
Right. So, I mean, how is that advantageous to me?
Yeah.
At all. The only way I have a shot to win that game is to end up with Amber in the end.
Yeah.
You know, maybe Jenna Lewis, I doubt it. Rupert, I guess you can make an argument that I could have beat Rupert, but, you know, look, Survivor is emotional. It's an emotional game, man.
Mm-hmm.
People have a really difficult time separating the emotion from the game. I mean, I've heard interviews where he talks about business and friendship, and what he did with Colby and Ethan was business. I don't hold ill will to Lex at all.
Mm-hmm.
I wish, I could, have a relationship with him and he could get over it. Or and I don't say that in a condescending way, but I mean, shit had happened. And I mean, I didn't mean it. He took it very personally. Mm-hmm. And I truthfully never meant it to be, a personal dig at him. I really didn't.
Yeah.
And the same goes for Grant on Redemption Island. I haven't spoke to Grant to this day. I never meant anything to hurt him. I really did form a friendship with him. Mm-hmm. And after the fact, so it kind of goes back to what I was talking about, process, and I think he's fine, he's obviously, I hope he's doing well and everybody, but shit, dude, it's a game, and I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, somebody's getting voted out,
Right. It's funny, Mark Burnett, I'll never forget, on Marquesas before the show started, he brought us all together, and he goes, you guys are going to go have this experience. 15 of you are going to be losers. Only one person is going to win. And that's the way it is.
Yeah.
That's the nature of the game, is to vote everybody else off. So, I don't know. I mean, I would be hard-pressed to figure out a scenario in that 5 with Lex, Kathy, Big Tom, myself, and Amber where I win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I think that even you yourself, you said that, you wish you would have said kiss my ass for making you feel bad, but I think the, 35-year-old or the 36-year-old you would probably have handled the whole situation better than the 26 or 27-year-old version of you. Would you agree with that as well?
Well, I don't think I would have played this game the same way. Mm-hmm. There's something to be said about steamrolling your way to the end and saying, give me the money, that just doesn't work in a social game. Mm-hmm. Look at Russell Hantz did it twice.
Yeah.
Steamrolled his way to the end with no regard for anybody else. Does that make him a good player? In my opinion, no. It makes him less than average, especially at this stage of the game, having seen everything that he's seen before. Mm-hmm. I don't understand. I don't know. There's a disconnect somewhere. I don't know if he doesn't have the mental capacity to realize, what entails winning this game. But you can't just beat everybody down. I learned, here's the difference, dude. I learned you do that stuff, but you do it in your asides, in your interviews, and whatever else. You want to be funny, you want to be cocky. Don't do it around to everybody else in your face, and then figure out a way to get to the end, and then say, you have to give it to me, I deserve it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Well, what I would say to that, though, is just like your earlier point of you have to play the game the way that you are. I mean, that's him playing the game the way that he knows how, and he can't do it any other way. So that's just...
Yeah, but yes and no, Rob. He can't. I don't know. Maybe he can't. But I mean, it seems like an obvious thing that you have to ask the people that you voted out to vote for you to win. Mm-hmm. So you have to treat them with some regard of dignity. And I guess I didn't do that for enough people in All Stars. I mean, the people that voted for me was Kathy, Rupert, and Jenna Lewis.
Yeah.
And nobody else did. Sheehan thought that Amber was pulling the strings the whole time. Yeah.
But you only lost by one vote. I mean, it was very close.
Yeah, Sheehan.
All right.
I was never getting the other guy's vote.
Well, and you know what? You got a joint bank account, and you stuck it to all those guys.
Hey, bro, it worked out all right. You know what I mean? I found a way to hedge my bet through it all.
Ron Chan wants to know, true or false, you would one day be interested in taking over as the host of Survivor once Jeff Probst steps in. So we look, you're not out looking for anybody's job. Let's say Jeff Probst, he's doing a great talk show. Jeff Probst decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to stay. I love doing the talk show. I'm going to stay doing the talk show, and I'm out on Survivor. They call Mark Burnett calls you up and Rob, I want you to be the next host of Survivor. Would you say yes?
I hadn't really thought about it.
Or call your agent?
I
don't want to hurt your leverage.
I love Survivor, I really do. But like, I feel like my journey is complete. You know, if a scenario like that did arise, I don't know. I'd have to look at where I am right now. I would have to say probably not.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in a different space right now with my kids and being home, and you know, that's a tough gig. And to try to do it and follow in someone like Probst, who's done it so well for so many years, it would be really. I mean, it's going to be a losing situation no matter what. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, he's established this criteria and set the bar so high that I don't think that I would be the right person for it.
Okay, I think that if you would be on the short list, I would think, of the people that it would make sense to have do it. You've been there. I don't know. I don't
see Jeff going anywhere anytime soon.
No, I agree with that. Okay, how about this? This one is from Jim Van Nest. He wants to know, I just want to know if Boston Rob ever thanked Mike Skupin for falling in the fire. Without that medevac, Kucha dominates the game and unceremoniously dumps Ogakor, which likely excludes Amber from the All-Star seasons, and we know how that worked out. Have you ever thanked Mike Skupin for falling in the fire?
I hadn't. You know, maybe I should send him a letter. I don't know. I think you can do that with just about any person that's ever played the game.
Okay. All right, so this is from Thomas Freestead. He wants to know, now we've heard Rob C's impression of Rob M many a time. Now it's time to hear Rob M's impression of Rob C.
I can't do it. Can't do it, buddy.
Okay.
I told you, the closest analogy I can do is like Ray Romano. That's about as much as that's where I see.
Do you do any impressions?
I don't.
But you were Ethan, in that fake tribal council, right? Do you have an Ethan impression?
Oh yeah. I remember that. Did they show that on TV?
It was on the. It wasn't on the episode. It was on the recap episode.
See that was. Excuse me. That was a fun memory, right?
Yeah, we were having fun.
You were Probst, weren't you?
Yeah, I was Probst.
Well, maybe you should host the show, Rob.
Well, I was doing Jeff Probst impression. Well, and then people would say, Boston Rob is hosting the show? That's good. Here's one where somebody wants to know, Brian Whitehead wants to know, we all know Cesternino is often mistaken for you. Have you ever been mistaken for him? Now, I don't know if you know this, but I go through my life going places and people say, Rob from Survivor is here. And people love say, oh, good. Boston Rob? Like, no,
Stop it. No, they don't. You're so full of it.
It's true. It's true. And
really?
A lot of times, people will just think that really Boston Rob really let himself go, or Boston Rob could really use a tan these days. So
do you play along and do the accent and the impression and everything?
Sometimes no, I don't. I don't do the.
You should do that, dude. I would do that next time somebody does that. Then you should do that.
Well,
and
also
go with it.
On Twitter, people sometimes I'll get a Twitter from people like, oh hey, we love you, Boston Rob. How's Amber doing? And sometimes I'll go along with it. I'll say, I'll type back. We just got back from Justin Bieber concert. Something once in a while. It doesn't happen too often.
Really?
Once in a while.
Is that what this is? Is that where this conversation is going?
Why? Where?
Justin Bieber.
Well, you don't have Bieber fever?
I don't know. I think he's a little young for me. Oh my God.
Yeah. And then I've also been called the Rob that sucks also.
What?
Yeah, that's true. I used to write the blog. Well, I used to write the blog on CBS.com, and people would comment on it. And a lot of times people would comment like, "Oh, Boston Rob, you did such a great job in your season," and somebody corrected them. Hey, this isn't Boston Rob. This is the Rob that sucks.
Oh my God, that's horrendous. Don't subscribe to any of that, brother. You're right in my book.
Oh, well, thank you, Boston Rob. Okay, how about this? John DeBono wants to know, if Rupert becomes governor, can we expect a presidential run of Mariano Shepard 2016? All right, first part. Do you want to offer any encouragement to Rupert as he's running for governor of Indiana?
Good luck, buddy. Good luck to him. Yeah. I don't really understand that, to be honest with you, but, to each their own.
Well,
as far as Shepard goes,
yes.
Shepard's all right in my book.
Yes.
I like Philip.
Would he be your running mate?
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is. Now, who would be your running mate? If you had to choose a survivor, you're going to run for president.
This is just silliness now. I'm not running. If I had to... Okay, let me think. Probably my wife, right? I would have my wife,
Be like the Clintons.
Mate. No, you want to be my running mate?
I don't know. I feel like I would support you. I feel like I would be a better vice president than a president. I feel like I like being the wingman.
To be in politics, man, and the elections going on now and everything, like, I feel like you have to really be, like, flexible in your ideologies and stuff, and I don't think that I am. I kind of see things the way I see them, and although I've learned to compromise more, especially being married and stuff, but I still feel like my values are my values, and I don't like the Mickey Mouse stuff, and I feel like a lot of these politicians, depending on who they're talking to, they can be on both sides of the same issue at the same time, and it's just not me.
Well, this is what you run on now. I'm Rob Mariano. I'm a man of
the
principles.
Reality ticket.
Yeah.
Let's get real can be the slogan.
Let's get real.
Yeah, people would have liked that when they actually got the truth, though.
I think that's all.
A nice bow.
All right, that's pretty good. Let me see. I had a couple other good ones I wanted to ask you. How about, Keith Dixon wants to know, any advice for Rob C for whenever he tries Survivor a third time? So if I get asked back for Survivor time number 3, what advice do you have for me in a future Survivor game? Do you have any?
I can't give you advice, man. You have to get it from within. You know about the game. You know what's worked for you in the past. And, like, that's the biggest thing. Like, a lot of people ask me, like, what can I do to get on the show and this and that? And it's like, you have to be yourself. You have to be original. You can only, like, put up an act for so long. And especially when you're in the elements and everything else and it comes crashing down on you, you to maintain an act is going to be a lot more difficult. The one thing I try to do, like, every single time I played was be myself. And I don't make any bones about who I am. You have to, find it within yourself. And, like, the number one thing you have to do, no matter who you are, is you have to be able to adapt. It's the single greatest skill you can have in that game from a strategic point of view. You need to be able to adapt. Whatever your situation is, if there's a twist, if your tribe wins, if it loses, if you're on the ins, if you're in the outs, whatever it is, you have to be able to change up your gameplay, and you have to figure out all the scenarios. And, like, in order to do that, you have to not think what's best for you in that situation, but to get the idea is to figure out what's best for everybody else, and then figure out how to doctor that so that it ends up coming out best for you. Does that make sense, or is that too?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. All right, so that's some good advice from Boston Rob, and I'm not going to hold my breath for Survivor trip number 3.
I think you could go back, Rob. I think you'd be a good player, and I think you'd be entertaining to watch.
Can I use you as a reference if they call me?
Of course you can. Of course you can.
Thank you so much. If
you want me to come, I'll go to bat in your corner for you.
I really appreciate that. This is like a love fest now.
Well, let's not get crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, you got me right back in your pocket, like Matt Elrod.
Poor Matty. I like Matty.
Yeah, had you ever?
I haven't talked to him in a while, but I keep in touch with a lot of the gang from Redemption Island. And Matty was a good sport about the entire thing.
Yeah.
But by far, that was a turning point in the game, and probably like the most critical vote in order to be able to maintain going forward. And he took it like a champ. I mean, he got the worst of it twice.
Yeah.
But
Did you ever think you'd be voting somebody out of the game twice in one season?
No, I never did.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I did. Ultimately, I am glad that I did.
Yeah, there you go. All right, this is Natalie Kuchik wants to know, what was your reaction to seeing your name mentioned in an episode of 30 Rock when Alec Baldwin is talking about the Great Boston Things, and sort of like in a bigger, broader sense. I mean, they've talked about you on 30 Rock. I listen to the Bill Simmons podcast all the time. He's talking about you. I mean, Boston Rob has, been in so many things, outside of Survivor, even just, talking about you. I mean, how surreal is all of that stuff?
Yeah, it's flattering, man. It really is. It's awesome. It's cool to be a part of, to have gone on this adventure over a decade ago and to, now, I guess, be a part of pop culture in a way. It's pretty cool. And like I said, man, I'm obviously beyond thrilled with the way things worked out, but I'm grateful too. I owe a lot to that show, a lot.
And Jordan Parhar wants to know, in your opinion, Boston Rob, what was the single greatest move in Survivor/Amazing Race, and why? Do you have one move that was the best thing that you did on any of these shows?
Man, I don't know. It's a terrible answer, but I don't know. I mean, let me put it to you this way.
Yeah.
Each season that I did, there were things that happened that, looking back on, I was like, oh, that was pretty cool and that was fun. But the one thing, and this is going to sound like so repetitive and so boring, but the one thing that really resonates is the fact that I met my wife.
Yeah.
On this show. This crazy adventure that I went on to try to win $1 million. I met a wife, and we've been married for 7.5 years now, and I have 3 beautiful kids because of it. I mean, to me, it doesn't get any better.
Yeah, so somehow
it's unreal. A lot of these shows, like The Bachelor and these dating shows and stuff, people go on and they, whatever happens, and most of them don't work out, and I just feel really blessed and grateful that, I was able to meet Amber.
I was going to say, you won the Survivor and the Bachelor. Who could say that? Yeah. And you've been married for longer probably than just about any of these other Bachelor people, which is really amazing.
See, this is the shit that gets you voted out, Rob. when you start comparing with these funny little clips, and they are funny, right?
It starts funny.
But over and over again, they start to get a little, it's witty, but at the same time, All
right. Well, that's good advice. That's good. This is the stuff I need to hear. All right, real quick. You have a Jets-Pats prediction for this weekend.
Oh, man. The Pats lost 2 games this year by 1 point.
Yeah.
They're killing me. They're absolutely killing me. It'll be a grudge match. I hope we come out on top.
I think you're being a little modest. You got to be very confident going against the Jets, right? I mean, the Jets are 11-point underdogs?
What's next? You want to bet on it?
I don't want to bet on it because I'm not confident in my team. I feel like I hate that the Jets are getting the Patriots after the Patriots lost a game. It's like our only hope is the Patriots are asleep at the switch when they play the Jets, and they're mad. It's in New England. I don't like this game at all for the Jets.
So would you root for the Patriots?
I'm not going to root for them. I'm going to root for my team, but I don't feel good.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
That's the worst. I actually, this is kind of off the topic, but I actually, I made a bet on the Patriots when they played Baltimore last year in the playoffs, and the Patriots ended up winning the game, but I lost the bet because I didn't cover the spread.
Yeah, with that field goal.
I was happy, but it was kind of tough. So this year, my same buddy, he's a big Baltimore fan. I made a bet with him again this year, and the Patriots lost the game by a point, but I won the bet. And although I never root against my team, I still rooted for them. I got to tell you, it was more gratifying to win the bet from my friend, just so I could give him a hard time about it, than to win the game and lose the bet, which stung a little bit more.
Yeah, well, we could use you to bet against New England this weekend. We'll see, and we won't even get into Bobby Valentine because that could be a whole nother podcast.
I mean, he came and went. I mean,
look, Bobby Valentine,
he wouldn't have lasted as long as he did if it wasn't for his reputation. You know, and I mean to go out the way he did, bad mouthing Pedroia.
Yeah,
that's just bad form, man. You don't do that. It's like you know, you can't, you don't do that.
No, we loved him on the Mets. Should Bobby Valentine consider going on Survivor next, a la Jimmy Johnson?
If Bobby Valentine goes on,
he'd be good.
I don't think you think it'd be good?
He'd be good TV.
Yeah, he'd be good TV. Jimmy Johnson is a great guy. Did you get to meet him?
I met him very briefly at the Survivor Vanuatu finale.
I went to the Survivor Nicaragua finale. No,
yeah.
Was it Nicaragua?
Yeah.
It was in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And was that the one?
No, yeah, that was the one. It was right before they announced Redemption Island.
Okay. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, no, I think it was the one before. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I was there with him, and he was backstage, and I got to sit down and watch the Patriots were playing in the playoffs, and I got to watch a Patriots game with him and Terry Bradshaw, and he was just the coolest dude, man. I really enjoyed his company.
Yeah, he's a fun guy.
Yeah.
All right, Boston Rob. For appearing on Rob Has a Podcast today, we're gonna get you a gift. We're gonna
Stop it.
Yes, it's true. You will receive his and hers Patriots hats, courtesy of Tundra Hat. You can get them at robhasatundrahat.com. They are from the company of. Do you know the winner of Survivor Exile Island, Otis?
I don't think I know him.
This is his company, and yes, we'll get you some Patriots Tundra hats, courtesy of Tundra Hat.
Very generous. I appreciate that.
No problem. Anything you want to tell people to do? I know you're not a big tweeter. Do you want people to still follow you on Twitter?
I'm on hiatus from Twitter right now. Taking a little break from Twitter, and just taking a little break from social media in general.
Okay.
Not that I just taking a break.
All right.
I don't really know if I get it yet.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you want to wait him out, follow at Boston Rob. Maybe one day he'll come back. Just like you took a long hiatus on Survivor too. You were gone for like 6-7 years.
It was a trip, man. I never in a million years thought I would go back after Survivor All Stars. You know, when I got the call to go back again, I was like, really? You know, I'm glad I did, but it was shocking. So.
All right, maybe one day there could be a fifth time. You never, get enough distance.
There won't be a fifth time, Rob.
All right.
Don't bet on that.
All right. Well, I'll bet on the Jets first. Boston Rob Mariano, thank you. So this was an absolute treat for me and for the listeners. You were a great sport about everything. And I hope that someday, I'm not going to push my luck. I hope maybe one day you won't return to Survivor. Maybe you return to Rob as a podcast.
We'll see. That sounds like a plan. We could do that.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much.
You got it. Okay, my man. I'll talk to you later. Keep in touch, all right?
I will. Did you want to say something else before you go?
I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday, buddy.
Oh, Boston Rob. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And you're doing a good job. I went on your website and checked it out. I heard you were doing this for a while, and I know we were supposed to get together after Redemption Island. I had to go real quick, but I'm glad we finally got to reconnect. After all
I'm
these
glad.
years.
Yeah, it's been too long, and now the door is open. You're going to hear from me on a regular basis. I'm going to have to if I'm in Florida, I'm going to stop in now. This is going to be you're going to be wanting to vote me out again.
Rob, you and your wife are welcome anytime at my house.
All right, well, good stuff, Boston Rob. Thank you so much. Best to Amber, best to the family, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, buddy. Have a good birthday.
Take care. Bye. All right, everybody. There you have it. How you like that? Boston Rob Mariano. Let's say it one more time. Yes. Outstanding. Could Boston Rob be headed for Mount Ratmore after that appearance? Wow. I am very happy with the way that turned out. And joining us here is somebody who's always very happy herself. Here it is. It's the return of Nicole Cesternino. Nicole, how are you? Double tap.
Ooh, hello.
Well, welcome back, Nicole.
Oh, thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm fantastic.
Yeah, and so really, Nicole could not really convince her to sit in for a 2-hour Survivor talk this afternoon.
Oh, that is not even the case.
Nicole had to get her hair done. True or false?
I did have to get my hair done, but that wasn't the reason I wasn't on the podcast.
All right, so Nicole is back. We haven't talked to Nicole in a little bit about Survivor because of different schedules and,
Yes.
and whatever. But Nicole, how are things? Everything's good?
Everything's great.
Everything's great. Nicole, very hard at work, working on her passion project, thatprettyfitchick.com. Lots of good stuff going on over there. And also, Nicole, have you decided what you are going to be for Halloween this year?
I'm just going to be a whore.
Oh, Nicole, come on.
There's no need to actually have a costume when
First off, the politically correct term is prostitute. Okay?
Yes.
And again, they're not necessary.
But that's the whole point. Like, I'm going to be a fairy, but really, you're a whore.
All right, thank you. All of a sudden, you're Barney Stinson on the podcast. All right,
Just
so
keeping it real.
Anyway, so if people who need a creative costume for Halloween, look no further than our friends at Amazon.com. Go to robhasawebsite.com/Halloween. There's still time. It's still right around the corner. You can get your shipping, you can get rush shipping if you need it. They've got 60% off up to on a lot of these costumes. Go over there. You get to support Rob as a podcast. Keeps us happy, and you get your costume that you need. Lots of good stuff to look at. They've got decorations. They got candy. robhasawebsite.com/Halloween. That's the Amazon homepage or the Halloween homepage even on Amazon.
I like when the trick-or-treaters come and I just don't answer the door.
Yeah.
And I eat the candy.
Oh, a lot of trick-or-treaters come to the apartment? I must miss this.
They used to.
They used to. I must have been when I wasn't home.
Yeah.
All right. So, that being said, Nicole, Survivor Philippines, we haven't heard from you a little bit on your take on this season.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to our preview show, Nicole.
Yes.
You and I had a very strong bet in our preview episode.
It got heated.
It got heated.
Yes.
Yes. We disagreed vehemently.
Yes.
That you said, or I felt like Katie was going to be the first person out of this tribe.
Right.
You disagreed.
I said no.
You said no. You said Dawson.
Not Tiffany Amber Thiessen. Not on my watch.
Yes, that's right. If we were a better produced show, we'd play the clip right now. I said, and you said Dawson would be the person kicked out.
Yes.
Turns out it was very close last night, neck and neck. We both win.
No.
Yes. Right?
No.
No?
I win.
You win.
I win like always.
Yeah, again, never go against Nicole when it comes down to Survivor predictions.
Hashtag Nicole is always right.
Or Big Brother predictions. So Nicole was right. Now that you got to see Dawson play the game, what did you change your opinion on Dawson?
I like Dawson. I thought that she was a good character. I wish she would have did something with that Jeff Kent information.
Something with the Jeff Kent information. Now, have you ever wanted a pink gun?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I actually think the ironic thing about all of this is that I think Dawson is probably as close as we get to you being on Survivor.
Yes, and I love Dawson.
Dawson is almost exactly as if you were on Survivor, because the only other person I could see kissing Jeff Probst like that, being doing something like she did at the Tribal Council, is you.
Yes. I might have humped his leg.
All right, come on. Take it easy, Nicole. It's been a while since I got to say that on the podcast.
Yes.
So yeah, that's the postmortem. Now, in fairness, Katie not looking so good.
Not looking so good, but she's still there.
But she's still there.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry to see Dawson go. I thought Dawson had some spunk.
She did. I think that if she would have just did something with that Jeff Kent information,
what would you have done?
It's tricky because if she would have said to Jeff Kent, listen, dude, I know who you are, he would have been like, all right, you're definitely leaving.
Yeah.
But if I don't know, I think she could have done something.
She could have done something.
Yeah.
We don't know what.
I think she could have gotten a rally against him.
A rally because he's a baseball player?
Mm-hmm, rally caps on.
Put his rally caps on? Rally buffs on?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so let's check in with some of the work of our esteemed interns, headed up by Kevin Donnelly, who have been scouring the internet, coming up with all of your comments and everything that have been said about the whole last week of podcasting.
Right.
Okay, so last week, of course, we talked to Russell Swan last Thursday, who was upset.
He was a little down in the dumps.
He was down in the dumps, and it's my job as the
therapist.
I'm the therapist of the survivors post show,
yes.
and also the bad boy of podcasting, and so I have both of those titles.
Dr. Dirty.
Dr. Dirty. That's my title.
Well, it's the doctor, you're the therapist, and the bad boy. Put it together. That's what you got.
Fair enough. I'll take it. Anyway, so I got to talk to Russell Swan last week, and here's what some of you guys had to say. Dan Heaton says, I think Rob did a great job with a tricky interview with a guy who clearly isn't ready to get over his rough experience. I know the season ended a while ago, but watching the episodes probably brought it all back for Russell. I think he's a big fan of the show, and it hurt him to come off so poorly this time. He isn't a good player and seems ridiculously overdramatic on TV, but it's hard to know what it's really like out there. Well, that's not going to make me feel better.
Yeah, you just pushed him off the ledge.
Yeah, easy.
Good job.
Take it easy, Dan Heaton. And then Eric had to say, if Russell had spent more time on cardio at the gym instead of lifting weights to look good for the cameras, he might have lasted longer. Oh no.
Well,
oh no. Is that true, Nicole? You're a trainer. He
needed to condition himself.
What's better for a survivor? Lift weights or do cardio?
Well, you need a little bit of both. You really need to condition yourself, condition the body for endurance.
Yeah.
Which he doesn't have.
Yeah. What's the ideal body type for survivor? I think it's like a fat person. That's the ideal body type.
Not for us viewers.
Not for the viewers.
No.
But you go out there with like 0% body fat, that's no good. Mm-hmm. Or if you go out there and you're like a cardio string bean marathon person, that's no good either.
Right.
You need that fat.
So you need the Cesternino approach.
Yes. 0% muscle.
Yes. 100% fat.
No, and skin and blood and stuff.
And some organs.
Yeah, organs. Yeah, how about that, Nicole? It's in your medical opinion. Do you like that?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Let's see. Then we had, how about Matt Curran, very excited about this show. He says, wow, I can't believe Rob was able to pull this off. Please do the entire interview in your Boston Rob impression. Oh, well, tried that for a little bit.
Yeah.
Didn't work out.
Did he have a Rob C impression?
He did not.
Oh.
He did not.
I bet that would be funny.
It probably would be.
I bet he does have one, though.
He does have one.
Yeah.
He says it's in 2 impressions.
Mm-hmm.
Then last Thursday night, we talked to Yao Man, and you guys had some comments on Yao Man. First off, Nicole couldn't be here with us last week.
Right.
Because Nicole was doing what?
I don't remember.
You were at the Madonna concert.
Oh, wah.
And
that
so,
was terrible.
Michael Norris said, Rob, I disagree with you. A Madonna concert does sound fun. This is 1988, right? You got zinged by the listeners.
We had the worst seats. They were the last row, and it was $180 for the last row in the Staples Center.
Yes.
And I had a panic attack.
Yes. Was it crybaby-itis, or was it an honest-to-God panic attack?
It may have been a little bit of crybaby-itis.
Yeah.
I was crying that I was at the Madonna concert.
Oh, no. In the Yao Man podcast, Bogda says, yeah, Yao Man is great. Finally, a survivor who actually expresses opinions. I liked his Russell God rant.
Ooh.
And Glenn Holford, one of our survivor bloggers, he says, Yao Man will always have a special place in my heart for assaulting Johnny Fairplay. What a champ. What a champ! Oh boy, so people like Yao Man because he knocked Johnny Fairplay's head into the boat. Now, Yao Man said he didn't mean that.
No.
He said he didn't mean it.
Wear it with your head held high, Yao Man.
Yeah. Okay, and then not too much going on the Twitter from the survivors. Here's one of the interesting ones. Survivor RC says, here's what she says. My edit has painted me in such a good light that my ex-BF's parents love me again instead of being the girl who ripped out their son's heart. Oh my god.
Oh. And it was really sad last night when she was getting bullied and she was swimming in the ocean.
Well, I always like to say, not enough reality stars compare their reality show experience to being bullied.
Yeah.
That just, it doesn't happen enough. That people are just not making that comparison enough for me.
Yeah.
Because it's certainly exactly
especially because everyone was yelling at her.
Oh yeah, and yeah, Malcolm and Pete gave each other a high five right in front of her.
Not fair.
Yeah, that's bullying.
Not fair.
That's bullying. Okay. All right, last comment comes to us from Twitter. Use hashtag RHAP. Rob has a tweet fan says, I guess Dawson really was up a creek.
Oh.
Fair, you like that?
Cheesy.
Can we play the song? Can we go out with the song?
Do you know I've only seen like half an episode of Dawson's Creek?
Well, that's half more than I have.
Yeah.
Well, how does that song go?
I have no idea.
Is it, I don't want to wait.
Oh, yes!
Yes. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, get Dawson back.
Yeah, get her to do karaoke.
Yes.
All right. So that is going to do it for this week's Survivor podcast. One of the best ones, I would say, that we've ever done. I really was happy with how that Boston Rob interview.
Oh, I thought you meant this part.
This part was fun. This was fun too. Okay. So lots more fun to come this season. It's going to be, lots of more big guests are on the way. Next week, I'll give you a little hint. I like to tease the guest rather than just come out and tell you.
You always like to tease.
All right, I'll give you 2 clues.
Okay.
Okay? Multiple time survivor.
That's just about everybody.
Okay, just saying female. That's it. Okay? And then I'll tell you for real on Rob has a web show on Tuesday.
I think I know who it is.
Okay, well, I usually tell you, so you probably just weren't
and I'm
listening.
usually not listening.
Okay? So there you go. That's next week. So it's going to be another good one.
Okay.
All right, so next head of interns is going to be Ryan Kwan, so congratulations to Ryan. And then here's what's coming up on the weekend. We've got, Saturday, as Boston Rob wished me a happy birthday, Nicole, Saturday is going to be my birthday.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
The big day.
It's the big day, and I have lots of plans. Oh, wait. No, I don't. So, what else does a guy do when he has no plans on his birthday? Have a birthday party on Spreecast. That's right. That's right. Thank God I didn't tell Boston Rob about that.
Oh, he would have made fun of you.
That would not have gone over well. That wouldn't have gone over well. So here's what's going to happen. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to show up on Spreecast. You can watch it on robhasawebsite.com.
Are you going to wear a birthday hat?
We'll see. We'll see. A tundra hat. So we'll see what's going to happen. I'm going to show up. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Uh-huh.
The interns, the live tweeters.
I've been working closely with the interns.
All right. This is going to be a big surprise. I have no idea who's going to show up. What surprises are going to happen. If you want to be there for all the fun, you can watch it live. 8 p.m. Eastern on Saturday,
yes.
5 p.m. Pacific.
You do have the best group of interns working for you.
I certainly do.
And I must tell you that right now.
Okay, great. Great. Very, very exciting stuff. Can't wait to do it. It should be a lot of fun. And then date night with at Nicole Loves Shoes.
Yes.
What are we doing?
The apartments are rocking.
Whoa. All right. Well, that's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm really looking forward to this weekend. Okay. So, speaking of this weekend, don't miss out on any of the fantasy football fun. If your team stinks or you need more action, and God knows who doesn't need more action, check out our friends over at draftstreet.com. They will give you a 40% bonus on your deposit when you sign up at robhasawebsite.com/draftstreet. Use promo code RHAP. And if you want to get in on the action for free this weekend, go to robhasawebsite.com/freeroll. You could play against other people for a chance to win up to $300 in prizes for free from our friends at draftstreet.com. I love it. It's a lot of fun. I play it too. It's all good stuff, so check it out, and we'll see if my Jets can upset the Patriots this weekend. Boston Rob wanted to make a bet on it, and I was like, whoa, no. No thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
Don't feel good unless Tebow can pull out a miracle.
He's not.
Yeah. Saying he could play some running back this weekend. Could see some Tebow at running back. All right, so Nicole, I think that's going to do it for an epic Rob Has a Boston Robcast.
Yes, it was amazing.
It was amazing. Also, next week, coming on Monday, AJ Masscast. We're going to talk to AJ Mass when there's 12 people left. Talk about how to define people. He's got his 12 disciples analogy that we like to run through. If you want to check out AJ Mass's book, How Fantasy Sports Explain the World, you can go to robhasawebsite.com/AJ Mass, take you to his page on Amazon. Mm-hmm. Okay, Nicole, anything else?
I got nothing for you.
You got nothing for me? Always fun to have you back here with us, Nicole.
It's always fun to be here.
Yeah, Rob has a web show on Tuesday morning, 12 p.m. Eastern. It's not the morning if you're on the East Coast.
Right.
12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. I will, we'll see you guys at Rob Has a Birthday Party on Saturday. Woohoo! All right, have fun, everybody.
You wear your birthday suit?
Yeah, and let me know, what did you think of the...
He didn't say no.
Yeah, I didn't say no. What did you think of the Boston Rob podcast? Let us know on Twitter.
Blow up Twitter.
Hashtag RHAP. Make sure you include me at Rob Cesternino. I want to know what you thought. Did it live up to the hype? Were you disappointed? Tell us, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.